The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. He's coming to us from Bowdoin College, and he is, I believe he coached, or he knows Johnny Fitty Falcone very well. So we're going to get into a little bit of that here, but Kevin Loney joins the show. Kevin, thank you for joining.
Awesome, Mike Bono. Good to see you, man. Yeah, I got a chance to coach Fitty for a year and then recruit up in that neck of the woods. So it was feels like a long time ago, but I feel like I'm getting old talking about 2006.
Dude, I hear you. You're preaching to the choir here for that. So you're currently the assistant athletic director for facilities and events management at Bowdoin College in Maine. Yep. How long have you been in that position, and what does that entail?
Yeah, so I've been at the college. I'm in year 9, going into 10. But I was coaching football here for about 6 years,
Okay.
and then during 2020, the person who had this role retired after 45 years at the college. She decided to
Okay.
hang it up, and so they had me move out of coaching into this role. So basically, what I do is I'm the guy who handles all of our athletic scheduling, all of our facility upgrade, upkeep, scheduling. Working with our grounds crew, working with our housekeepers, working with. I do our facility rentals. So we have a hockey rink. We rent it out for the local high schools
Nice.
in groups. Where now we've got our pool is getting used by a club. Our local high schools, our indoor tracks getting used this time of year like crazy. So, and then I work with all of our we have 31 sports here, Division III school, 31 sports, and so I'm the one who's kind of making sure that their practices, their games, all of it is like handled properly. I do all of our student worker hiring. So we've got a basketball game going right now. So we've got about a handful of students who are, they're sweeping the floor, they're doing stats, they're doing, scoreboard, all that kind of stuff. I'm handling all their hiring, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I did a lot of that when I was at Bethany College. I was actually the athletic director for the radio station when I was in college because I got a sports broadcasting degree.
Yeah.
Got to broadcast every home football, basketball, baseball. Did the PAC soccer championship game.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. I love broadcasting, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people see. That they just see the end result.
Sure.
The show went off great. How did that happen?
Right.
It's nice to see the man behind the scenes for sure.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that because I was a college football coach from 2000 till 2019. And, for the longest time, you never thought about who's putting the flag up so you can do the anthem, who's doing all these little bits, pieces. And when one thing's out of place, you realize, oh, wow, this is a huge deal. If the lines are crooked on the field, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like when I was at Bethany, and I probably still the same way, a lot of our students were doing a lot of that work. Right.
Yeah.
And so if the kid who was supposed to be on laundry didn't take care of the laundry, now you've got dirty stuff at practice. It matters. It's a huge,
huge thing. I remember that they were scrambling one football game. I actually had 2 other people set up to announce for the radio, and director came up to me and he was like, Mike, I got a serious question for you. Do you want to be the Bison today? I was like, I'm sorry. He goes, I know you got the radio thing going on. The normal mascot, he is sick. He cannot make it here. We do not have a fill-in. I was like, give me the head. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He goes, we need you to amp up the crowd. We know you have a ton of energy. We figured you'd be great to do it. I was like, bet. Where can I change into this thing?
Yeah, for real. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's things like that people don't see. They just see the game go off without a hitch.
Right.
And they don't see okay, now we're scrambling to find a mascot last minute. And the players are about to run out onto the field. And hey, Bono, can you throw the Bison head on real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, the scoreboard's not working. I mean, it happened this year for one of our first home game. One of our plate clocks wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
And and we're kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what's doing this. We're running all over the campus trying to find this idea thing, getting the electrician on a Saturday to come in on a Saturday, to make sure things working. And it's all these little things that work behind the scenes to make sure that and nobody knows a scramble, right? But they see the finished product. And if it doesn't work properly, they know, and they're gonna be vocal about it.
No, they're definitely vocal about it. We had one broadcast where a mic didn't work.
Yeah.
For the announcer. We didn't realize it. We got our headsets on. So we could hear ourselves.
Right.
Talking. It's everything's going off fine. And my producer is texting me, radioing into my head while I'm talking about the game. Dude, nobody can hear you. What do you mean nobody can hear me? I can hear myself fine. He's like, yeah. He goes, there's so many people calling into the station. We can't hear the game. Our son's playing. It's his first start. Wow. And they want to listen to the game. They're from I think the kid was from Montana. So not an easy trip to West Virginia to be able to watch your son's first start in Division III football.
Absolutely.
And I was like, well, okay. Yeah. Since nobody can hear me, what do we need? What do I need to do? Is it a connection? Is it with you guys? What do we need? Let's figure this out on the fly.
On the fly.
And
Absolutely.
apologizing midway through the second quarter of the game because that's when we got it up and running.
Absolutely.
And, people were still calling into the radio station. I missed the first quarter of my son's first start. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's technology.
It's not intentional. Yeah, really.
We want you to hear that. So we had a recap. Like normally we would get, a 10, 15-minute break at halftime, play some music, all the sponsors, get them in there. And we were sitting there recapping the first quarter,
right?
Just to make sure everybody, got up to date. But, I know what it's like in West Virginia this time of year, football season coming in, and we're in December right now. So you're in Maine. What is that like? And would you recommend visiting Maine and what to do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Maine is very much a Midwest place on the East Coast.
Okay.
We call it, Maine is a small town, man. It's everybody knows everybody. And beautiful. So Bowdoin is located about 2 hours north of Boston. Or like just to Harvard, like 2 hours door to door. But we're 7 miles from the ocean. So really gorgeous part of the country.
Yeah.
Phenomenal in the summertime. I'd say if you have a chance to visit here in the summertime, do it because it's they call it vacation land. And it is it's pretty amazing. If you like good seafood, all of it. Plenty of things to do. Yeah. Winter can get challenging, but
sure.
If you're north of the Mason-Dixon, it's going to be challenging in winter.
Right.
So you just you live with it. We don't have any lake effect, which I think is a great thing. But we had our first snowstorm earlier in the week, and we had also a 60-degree day like on Wednesday, so it was gone.
Yeah.
So right now you go outside, you can't even tell. It's our campus. It's a pretty amazing place. It's a really old school. We've been around since the 1700s. And one of the cool things here is academically one of the best schools in the country. So we're competing with like Carnegie Mellon for some kids every now and again. I know you guys had Tim Weaver on a bit ago. So where Weave was at Brown and when he was at Harvard, like we're recruiting the same types of kids academically. And the kids that are walking out of here are doing great things. It's a pretty great, like just small place to be. I'd say if you get a chance to come visit, come do it. We've got one of our alumni, probably the most famous alum we have is a guy named Joshua Chamberlain. He's a guy basically that won the Civil War.
Okay.
So at Little Round Top, if you ever see the movie Gettysburg, he's played by Jeff Daniels with the big mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool deal. Yeah. So we've got a statue of him on campus, and he was a professor here during the Civil War and lied to the administration to go fight. Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story. And then the guy who created Netflix, Reed Hastings, is an alum. The guy who's just passed away now, a guy named Peter Buck. Our athletic center's name for this guy named Peter Buck, who's the guy who basically created Subway sandwiches, the business, which is pretty cool stuff. We don't get discounts though on either of those. It is what it is. But yeah, it's a fun place to be. I never thought I'd be in Maine for almost 10 years.
Right.
But the people here are awesome. The kids are great. Football has been being a part of the football program here with such a long history has been awesome. And just a lot of our other sports and just the people, like I said, around here have just been phenomenal to be around. And it's been a cool experience because I'm from the Northeast originally. I'm from Connecticut, but places, as you kind of see through my background, I spent a bunch of time in the Northeast and then went out to Bethany and coached for a year, and then went out to the University for 2 years, and then went to Iowa for 2 years at a small school, and then moved back to the East Coast. And I've never been anywhere more than 3 years, and to have been here now for as long as I've been is kind of amazing. But it's been a great place, and like I said, really amazing people to be around every day. Yeah.
When you were at Bethany, what years were you at Bethany?
So I was there in 2006. So Tim Weaver's first year, I was his defensive coordinator.
Okay. I got there in the fall of 2007. I knew. I was going to say I don't know if you were there when I was there or what. I would say I
probably
just missed each other.
Just missed each other. So I left in February, and it was a great experience. I had coached a handful of places before that. I was still a really young coach. And in the year that I was with that staff, so Tim and Bill Garvey and all those guys, Andy Upton and all that. Yeah. I learned a lot about coaching. And just from a football, I say all the time that the way Tim goes about his business as a coach kind of completely overhauled and changed how I did everything from a coaching standpoint. From an X's and O standpoint, just in terms of just dealing with players, all of it. I think it's been it stuck with me till now. And even like now that I'm not coaching, I'm kind of coaching a lot of coaches now. I do a lot of like on the side, a lot of mentoring on the side, and the things that I learned from him, I pass on. Here's how we're gonna, here's how you plan your week to get everything ready to go so that you're prepared on a Saturday, to play your game, or on a Friday night to play your game. Just all these little bits and pieces, to be able to work on that, there with a great group of kids who are really hungry, and I'm sure John will tell you, like, kind of the experiences, like they had not been very successful for a number of years before we got there.
Oh yeah.
In our first year, we won 4 games.
Right.
And won some games we probably shouldn't have won. And then there's some teams who were really good, and we learned a lot.
Right, yeah.
And, W&J and Carnegie Mellon, we learned a lot.
Yeah, W&J taught them a lot every year.
A lot of lessons. But it's funny. The guy who's the head coach at Grove City was a freshman quarterback. At Grove City that year. So that was our homecoming game. We beat them. And then they've now left E3. But Thomas Moore, the guy who's coaching there, was their freshman quarterback.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of it's crazy, But just again, really good people. And again, I say to this day, I coached the linebackers and helped work the defense with Tim. And that might have still to this day been the best collection of linebackers I've ever coached. Which is pretty impressive. I mean, it's guys who were doing some really talented, were big, were athletic, were fast. And, for a guy who was learning how to run the Tampa 2 defense, those guys are great to coach. It was phenomenal.
I remember Coach Weaver being there. He recruited from within the college too as well. That was one thing I never really saw, because me and a couple of my buddies, we were just kind of hanging out, tossing the football around. And I had played football in high school, but I was there at Bethany to swim. I was a swimmer too as well. And we're just sitting there seeing how far we could throw a ball. Just stupid 18-year-old things to do. It's just, let's see if we can blow our shoulder out. You know what I mean? And I'm just launching them. And Tim comes up to me and he goes, "Hey man, you got a cannon." I was like, I played a little, and I didn't know who he was at the time. So I just kind of was joking around with him. I was like, "Yeah, man, I got the best quarterback stats in Brook High School history." He goes, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, playoff game this past year. We ran a wide receiver reverse pass. I threw the ball, one completion, 75 yards for a touchdown. So, I'm 1 for 1, 100% completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio is off the charts."
That's phenomenal.
And, he kind of giggled. He goes, "Well, we'd love to have somebody like you on the team." I was just like, "You're coach, aren't you?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm here to swim. I'm not screwing that up." But I appreciate it. Like we were talking about there, but you coached with Weaver, Bob Nazol, Andy Upton, Bill Garvey, and Mr. Askew, all former guests of the show here. We love Mr. here on the show, and he's a big fan and a big supporter of the show. Man. We love you touched on it a little bit about Weaver, but those other guys there, what was that like coaching with that collection of guys? Yeah,
it was, I think the cool part for me, because, Bobby and like Ryan Lieb, he gets to come back and to help coach a little bit too. A bunch of guys who were really passionate about the college, and they knew the place really inside and out. And so they could really they really did a great job of relating to the guys. So it was great having a young staff of guys who could relate to kids from kind of all over, and who were go-getters in the recruiting process too. And that's how you get good, is you got to have great players, and you got to have kids who bought in and everywhere that, it's kind of funny. Those guys, we got in there. I got hired in February basically. And, going through like the off season program, winter conditioning, all the kind of stuff that we were doing, guys had to kind of really buy into what we were doing, and they bought in. And they brought in a guy like Matt Cruz, who's just, and, to this day, just one of the best players I've been around, and it's one of the guys just kind of running around, Brent Owens was one of our quarterbacks, and a bunch of guys just kind of running around doing their thing and just, but buying into what we were doing. Michael Elias and all these great players who just, I think we're kind of looking for some direction and got it, and that was the first time I'd been around an offense that was like spread running like the zone read. And so there was no huddle. And what Gar was doing offensively, what gave us a chance to be really successful. And we had a lot of answers. And then, schematically, we were doing some really good things on defense. And so the X's and O's were going to be great. And just getting the guys to buy into the hard work and the team aspect. And even to this day, we talked about here, and what you see with great programs is, they focus on their opponents, but they really are. It's about what they're doing. And Tim used to talk all the time. We say all the time, hey, we've got to have this great focus about how we do our business. If we do what we've got to do to the best of our ability, everything else takes care of itself. And I think as we talk to any place, any program, any company that's successful, you got to know who your opposition is, or your competition is. But the competition, it's in the mirror. And how do you do the things that you do to the best of your ability? What are the things that are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you make them strengths now? How do you take those things that are strong and make them stronger? And that's, I think, the process that we went through as a coaching staff with these guys, just in ourselves as coaches. I think that was great to kind of see how we got ourselves better as well. There's some guys who aren't coaching anymore, unfortunately, but I think would be great to stay in it if they could have, and now Garv's the AD down at Brook, and he's like stealing college coaches now. And it's just like, holy cow. I talked the other day. It's like, how you pulling that one off? It's really impressive. But I think you get people who are going to buy into a mindset and mentality. And that's what it's all about.
I definitely, Garv being the AD there at Brook, I joked around with him. It's my alma mater, Brook. I went there, and they would let one of the coaches go, and my nephews are playing there, so I definitely still follow up and see what's going on there. And I just shot him a quick text, just bust his chops. I was like, hey man, if you want a former player to come back and coach, hit me, hit your boy up. I'll definitely come back and coach for you, Garv. Yeah, absolutely. You buy into that process, because I knew how Garvey ran things.
Absolutely.
But he's doing big things with the coaches he's bringing in at Brook. I'm hoping they can turn that program around like we did when we were there. I mean, I dabbled a little bit into coaching a couple summers ago in swimming. It's a little different, but I was an assistant coach for a summer swim program for a local high school here, Tri Valley, where I'm at. And the head coach for that team was the head coach for the swim team for Tri Valley. So she's like, you're a collegiate swimmer. You had a great resume for swimming. You had a chance at the 2012 Olympic trials. Like, I want you to work with my high school kids. I mean, this team has 96 kids on it, from 8 to 18. I want you working with the high school team. Yeah. And she saw me focusing on a couple different of the athletes and of the swimmers. And she came over to me. She's like, why are you really honing in on these three? They're not even my best three swimmers. I said, I'm not looking for your best three swimmers. I don't need to worry about them. They know what to do. They're doing their thing. I'm looking for the right swimmers that have the right mindset, that want to put in the work, that are willing to listen to what I have to tell them.
Right.
And these kids, their stroke's fine. There's nothing wrong with their stroke. Maybe a little bit of mechanics, but it's summer. We're not in swim season. And this one, she needs one little extra stroke at the end, and she'll drop her time by probably 0.3 of a second. And she was like, really? I was like, watch, do this with her. And did it. And lo and behold, that girl became a regional champion.
That's awesome.
In swimming that year.
That's awesome.
And she was like, wow, I never would have thought. I was like, yeah, I see things. You see these kids daily. The little things that you think you would see,
right,
you're missing. I'm a completely fresh, unbiased eyes, and I saw these things because I had these things when I was swimming.
Right.
And a coach, an assistant coach came to me, and lo and behold, it was my starts. I was a backstroker. In college, they moved me to backstroke full time. I never really was a backstroker, and my starts were off. Yeah. And it was costing me a half a second to a second on my times. And my assistant coach came up to me, and she was just like, try this. Yeah. Just try it. I'll try anything. If it drops me a couple seconds. The next meet, we were in a relay. The IM relay, and I was leading up as the backstroker. And after the race, guys were looking up, like, we dropped our relay time by like 3 seconds. How did we drop our time by 3 seconds?
Right.
And I looked up, I went, oh, there it is. I dropped my backstroke split by 3 seconds. It dropped 3 seconds off of my time, which is an eternity in swimming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just from a little, pull yourself up a little bit more on the start. That was her only critique.
It's amazing.
Your launch is great. Your streamline's great. Pull yourself up a little bit more on that start. Watch what happens.
Yeah.
Drop 3 seconds.
It's amazing.
It's insane to me.
It's my first college job was at Norwich University in Vermont. It's the oldest private military school in the country. It's a school where ROTC was created.
Mm-hmm.
And remember one of my first meetings on their campus, our head coach at the time, who I played for at another college, at Dickinson College in Pennsylvania, had said, he goes, we've got a riflery team here. Naturally, it's a military school.
Right.
He says, when you have a riflery competition, the scores are like in the thousands. And so it goes, if you win your rivalry match 2000 to 1999, you don't know which bullet it was that made the difference.
Yeah.
And so you never know what the little thing is going to be that can make the difference, but those little things add up, and that's where I think right, that's the message more so now as we kind of talk through, like he's talking like young kids and young athletes. They don't necessarily see that because they see the big picture right at the end. Well, hey, if you understand that the little thing is going to be the difference maker, you may not know it, but you still got to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy who's who's struggling with foul shooting. Maybe it's a one little adjustment here and there, and that's what takes that coach. Hey, a coach with maybe some fresh eyes to see that sometimes.
Yeah, and
being willing to try new things and being willing to fail because hey, okay, who cares? You tried it. At least you tried it.
Yeah,
and that's been I think. So one of the things that I deal with here at Bowdoin is we've got a lot of students here who are like those A personality go-getter kids. They've never had a B, they've never had a C or D in school. Right. They get to college and they fail and they get an F on a paper, the first paper, and their world comes crashing down. It's like you tried something, it failed. Now let's try some new things, some new ideas, and they take a deep breath and realize that's just feedback for you. You're going to be okay. No one got thrown into school because they had an F on a paper as a freshman in college. You're going to be okay. You're going to get the job is still going to come. You're going to be all right. Just a matter of, okay, let's take a deep breath and figure out your process and what's going to be how we get you from here to the next spot so that you can go be confident doing what you're doing. And like to your point, it's like those little things here and there that maybe they've been doing things a certain way for a really long time and it's worked for them. And now, hey, now you're in deep water and you got to figure out, okay, what are some new things I got to adjust or what do I got to get better at? What are things maybe I coasted on because I could and I didn't realize I was coasting on. Oh, yeah. And that's, I think, it's a great teaching tool for our students for sure. A lot of our athletes especially.
Yeah, I was that stubborn athlete. I'll tell you that, even going into college, like Coach McGowan wanted me to learn the breaststroke. Could never do the breaststroke. I've been swimming since I was 8. I still can't do the breaststroke. I don't know why. I can't get my legs to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I fought him on it. He was like, well, I might need you for this 100 breaststroke in this next meet. I was just like, we're probably going to have to DQ that one, coach. I can't do that. I'm telling you right now, I can't do the breaststroke. I'm going to either not show up and we're going to get DQ'd for not showing up, or I'm going to do something wrong and we're still going to get DQ'd. Like, I'm trying to save us a little bit. He was like, all right, well, then come with me. He cleared everybody out of a single lane and goes, hang on to the deep end wall, and you can't leave until you do 100 breaststroke kicks. I was like, I was like, is it because I bucked back at you? Is that why you're punishing me now? He's like, no, you'll thank me later. I was like, I don't think my legs are going to thank you after this, coach. I'm not going to lie to you here. Like, this is brutal. And he stood there, and if I did one wrong, it didn't count. It was like that military school that you were just talking about, and it's that little thing. Yep. And he was like, you know what? You say you can't do it. Point your toe a little bit more here when you come up. And the strokes got a little bit better. I did the event, did not do well, but I did the event. We didn't DQ. DQ. And I was already going into that event like, yep, this is not going to go well for us. And I'm going to have a DQ on my record, and that's not good for me. But listen to coach. I'm not looking for the best. I'm looking for the right athlete.
Yeah.
And that's my mentality when in coaching and that. But you left Bethany, like you said, in 2006 season. I believe it was for the University of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So one of the guys that we've had worked with at Harvard was working at Notre Dame. And Charlie Weiss was looking to hire some new young coaches on the staff to kind of be like the low totem pole people, and he hired 4 people. So, I mean, Weave asked me, do you want to apply for the job? Now, I grew up as a Notre Dame fan, and it's like, okay, but we had gone 4-6 at Bethany. I'm like, all right, I'm my first time being a coordinator. I'm learning how to do this thing. Do I really want to walk away from that to kind of start from scratch? And I went home over the holidays and asked a bunch of people what I should do, and I decided I'm going to go. I'm going to take a shot and go for it. Interviewed, ended up getting hired. It's kind of funny that the guy I shared an office with is Shane Waldron, who's just the OC with the Bears. Yeah. I'm assuming it would not surprise me if Shane doesn't end up in North Carolina with Coach Belichick. They were together with the Patriots. And then Patrick Graham, who's the coordinator for the Raiders. He was my roommate for 2 years.
Okay.
So, and we're kind of, and we get there in 2007, and it was interesting because I say the great part of it was Notre Dame's an amazing place. I think people if you ever get a chance to go there or be a part of it, it's even people who hate Notre Dame, you go and you visit, it's like, oh my God, this place it's different.
Yeah,
it's a small college playing big time college sports. And that's why their fans are so rabid and obnoxious and annoying, because that's just who they are. But they've earned it a little bit. The kids are awesome to be around. They're just phenomenal young people. Some guys who I still talk to all the time. And they happen to be growing up on national television every Saturday and going through some tough times, because we were there in 2007 when we were one of the worst teams in the country. You just graduated, Brady Quinn and Justin Margin, all these guys, and you walk in with a freshman quarterback in Jimmy Clausen, and Golden Tate's a freshman, all these guys, and they learned by losing. We were 3-9 their freshman year. Lost to Navy for the first time in 45 years. And just you're going through that experience, and you're trying to and they just kept coming back, which is awesome to see, because they had just a ton of character. The next year, a bunch of guys get hurt mid-season, but ended up winning a bowl game. You hadn't won a bowl game since Lou Holtz was coaching there. Right. So that was a big experience. And, it was, I never knew that you could work as hard as you had to work. I worked really hard, as young guys on staff. You're the ones in there doing all the film work, doing all the, you're the ones, staying at the hotel on official visits, make sure kids are staying out of trouble. You're living in the dorm over the summer when the guys report, because hey, they got to make sure they're on time for stuff, and you're in charge of that stuff. And it was a lot of work. You're in early, you're leaving late, not getting a lot of sleep. Still trying to figure out how to sleep regulated now, 20 some odd years later. But also again, learned a lot of football, learned a lot of X's and O's, learned a lot of just dealing with people. And those are kids, again, same thing, very much go-getter kids. They struggle sometimes with doing what they have to do, and just cutting it loose, and I think as you watch them now, they've got some guys who can do that. And I think it's been a great job of recruiting by the last few staffs on there, and the staff that's there now. But when you see kids who, the challenge of a really, really smart kid sometimes is they overanalyze everything. Right. And they're just stuck there. I think about guys like, so obviously Bethany has the scholarship program where if you get the full ride, if you're that, I forget what they call it, but Dave Obel got it in school. And those types of kids sometimes they get paralyzed. They overthink. They want to be perfect. Right. They overthink things, and that same thing would happen there. And you get some guys who are just like. Remember, we had a kid who's a really talented, a high recruit out of college, and he was a scout team player. And if we didn't tell him what to do on every single play, he just stood there. Really? And it's like, and just because he's just analyzing everything, and so getting guys to trust their ability and to, that was kind of the process there, but it worked out. And, I was able to I still, a lot of things that, in terms of just things like you never thought about, So here's an example. Like when we were on the road for games, we would meet all the time. And I never understood why we did it until I became a head coach.
Yeah.
And actually, honestly, I figured it out the year after I left because I was at a Division II school in Iowa. We were on a road trip. And in fact, I think we were going to figure out who we were going to go play. And guys were late to the bus leaving the hotel. The coach said, we're leaving at 9 a.m. Guys are walking on the bus at 9 o'clock. And he's furious.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, we never told them to be early for the bus. We told them the bus leaves at 9. And I guess and before that, our staff had gotten there, that was never really a thing that was kind of explained to them. And so I said, all right, so let's have a meeting 5 minutes before it's time to go. That way you're on time for the bus.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you late for the meeting than late for the bus. I'm not going to leave a player.
Right.
Because life happens. You're on the road in a hotel, bad breakfast, you get kids, whatever happens, you get
something. Yeah.
At least now, hey, if you're late to the meeting, we can deal with it versus, hey, if you're late to the bus, we're leaving some kid. We're not doing that. That's especially this day and age, you can't do that.
No,
so,
absolutely.
And I'm like, that's why we did it. Because I don't want Jimmy Clausen late to the game because we need that guy. I mean,
yeah.
we can talk tough about, hey, whatever, but that guy's he's a dude. We need him.
Absolutely.
So it was some great lessons from that standpoint, and just in terms of like just the game planning aspect of things. We were so thorough schematically. You just got to have better players than everybody else, and that's at that level. You're playing against some guys that were just flat out better.
Right.
At that time, USC at the time was rolling. I mean,
they were.
I mean, we lost to Matt Sanchez twice.
Yeah,
and it wasn't close. They were better than us. We beat Michigan my second year. That was Rich Rod's first year there, but the year before they smoked us. They had a bunch of that was Ryan Mallett and Jake Long and all those guys. And it's like you're going through. I still have like the old scouting reports going. That guy's
you're right.
That guy's getting a gold jacket. It's like, oh, great. No wonder we got our faces ripped off.
Yeah, man. I still even remember that in college, swimming against Teal.
Yeah.
And did not know walking into it that they were that good of a swim program.
Right.
And we thought it was weird because, one, it was a distance meet. And for me, I was a sprinter. 200 yards was my max.
Right.
And that wasn't even pushing it.
Yeah.
And that was the shortest event that I swam that day. And, going into it, and their pool wasn't in yards like Bethany was. It was in meters. So it was an Olympic style pool.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, all right, there's a D3 college that has a Olympic size pool in meters, not in yards.
Right.
And we walked in. We're used to, Bethany College, the swim program was very small when I was there. I was one of 4 guys on the team. Yep. So, very small team. And, couple parents coming, couple friends coming to watch you, girlfriends, whatever, boyfriends are there just to watch their significant others and everything like that. But then we get to Teal and the place is packed. There's a band playing. There's the mascots there. And I'm looking at my buddy going, where the hell are we? Like, what are we in the Olympics right now? Like, what
right?
Are they that good? Is Teal that good? And my buddy who's been swimming there for a couple of years, he was like, "Oh, you're in for a treat today." I was just like, "Okay, so these guys are just that much better than us." Is that the case? And I still remember it was the 500 meter backstroke, brutal event for me. And I remember finishing the race. I mean, at the time, I think it was like 20 laps in the pool. It's a long, long time when you're used to swimming 4 to 8. So I remember, because the rule in swimming is, and not a lot of people know this, is, just because you finish the race, if everyone isn't finished, you cannot leave that lane. Otherwise, you are disqualified. That means getting out of the pool, and you have to stay in that lane. And I just remember finishing and being like, oh, thank God, I'm done. And I looked, and the guys aren't even huffing and puffing anymore. That's how long after they had finished that it took me to finish the race, because I never knew how to pace myself in distance. My mindset as a sprinter is go. Just as fast as you can, as hard as you can for the entirety of the race. And
Whole new
I
world.
look around, I'm beat red, and these guys just like, "Hey, good job." I was like, "You don't have to sugarcoat that, man. That sucks. Yeah, you're good. Good for you, man." I looked at his times. I was like, "Dude, those are
It's
awesome
crazy.
times, man. Good for you."
Oh man.
But yeah,
It's crazy. Like you talked about, so it's funny, in '06, Teal was just coming off winning the conference championship.
yeah,
And we played them at home. And I remember, we had a great week of practice, and we were as a staff, like trying to think, okay, we weren't sure like how good we were, how good they were. Like, I mean, they were good on tape. And then literally in the first 5 minutes, I remember we were going, "Oh, you guys are much better than we are. Let's hang on to it and let's just do what we can to, make it respectable." And we didn't, I not say to the players, but you just do what you got to do. Let's not beat ourselves because these guys don't need any help beating us. So we got to go and do it. But that's, it's always, I think it's always good to kind of, get out of your comfort zone. Right.
Oh yeah.
And then learn, hey, if this thing happens, what do you do now? You have an experience for it.
Right.
And now you can coach a kid, right, who's going to go do that thing. Maybe he's never done it before. And,
right.
Or maybe if there's an injury and you need a kid who's a sprinter to go, hey, do a distance. Now, hey, let's here's your plan. Here's your path. Here's how you can do it.
Learn how to pace yourself.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I was one of those cocky athletes in college too as well. I hate to admit it, but I was. Looking back, I'm 35 now. I can look back. At 18, I was cocky. I was not confident. I was cocky, and the coach was just like, and he had me in the distance lane that week of practice for the teal meet. And I was like, why does he have me over here? Like, I'm cooking these people. Like they're slower swimmers than me. They're distance. That's why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was joking. He was like, "You got to get ready for that 500 backstroke." I was like, "Okay, coach. Yeah, good one. 500 backstroke. All right. Good luck. Good luck having that happen." It's not happening, coach. And it happened.
No
and
way.
yet, it's one of those ones that, it's like, yeah, I learned a lot that meet. I don't say that I failed. Yeah, obviously I swam the worst time I've ever swam in my life, but I learned a lot about myself. And from that point on, and I finished the race. I did not quit. There's no quit in me. I mean, if I had to just float back to the start finish line, there was no
absolutely
stopping me. And I learned a lot, because that was about midway through the season that we had that meet. And I just remember, after that, whatever coach said, you got it, coach. Yep. Let's do it. All right. You got me in the 200 again. All right, let's go. I got you. I'll learn how to pace myself for that first 100. And it's just little things like we talked about earlier, little things like that make athletics fun and make coaching fun. I even had that in the shortened time 1 year that I was an assistant coach in a summer swim program, trying to get kids to, buy in and listen to the advice. And, a lot of them were like, "Well, I'm not a district champion." It's like, okay, now we know where you want to work. Let's put the work in now. You think it's going to happen in your little short swim season in high school to get to districts? No, it starts now.
Yep.
In the summer, when you're thinking, "Oh, we could relax. This is a summer swim program. It's supposed to be fun," and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know about you, but winning's fun to me.
Yeah.
Winning's fun.
It's a process. Yeah. So it's funny you talk about that. Like the thing that I do now is I talk to a lot of our athletes is when we've got some guys, maybe kids who we're going through some crisis of confidence or just trying to learn stuff. I'm a big reader. And so like there are a couple of books that I kind of push on kids. Hey, look, so are you a Steelers fan?
Yeah.
So naturally. So Russell Wilson's is actually just his best friend just passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. And that guy wrote a book called "It Takes What It Takes," and that is a book about kind of to your point. Hey, it's going to take you this long to learn this thing. It may take person over there 10 days. It may take you 20 days. It's going to take what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And the way that you attack that time it's going to take is going to determine how successful you are with it. And then the other guy is a guy named Josh. I got to look at his name. I'll email you the names of the guys. But he wrote a book called "Chop Wood, Carry Water." He also wrote a book called "Win in the Dark." And this is kind of to your point. And the "Win in the Dark" is about it's a parable basically. It's about a kid who is going to go do this like really dangerous sporting event, and how he's got to learn to do all these things to be successful when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Right. And so, hey, if you want to be great at this thing, it's when no one's watching you do it. You're not winning districts during districts.
No.
You win over the summer.
Yeah.
You don't win football games. Today is the quarterfinals of D3, right? Those games aren't one day. They're won in December and in January and February and March and April. And in the summertime when you're on your own without your coaches, that's when you win those games. And the level of commitment to that and the level of detail to those things is what will determine if you have a chance to be successful.
Right.
Because sometimes you're going against teal. Sometimes just it is what it is.
It's what it is.
But to hold your own, to compete, it doesn't happen today. It happened, months ago. And it's a huge lesson for kids to learn, for people in general to learn.
I had a couple of buddies in high school. I wasn't a 4-year starter at football. I earned my spot my senior year on special teams. From the work I put in 4 years.
Right.
And I was that habitual scout team player. And, it guys didn't see, I was going out with my dad in the summertime, and I wasn't allowed to do anything I wanted to do till I caught 100 balls as a receiver. Until you catch 100 balls. If I have to throw you 400 for you to catch 100, till you catch 100 balls, we're not. You can't do anything.
That's it, man.
And, even in practice, getting beat up by the starters, just guys that are just like looking to punish the scout team players and popping right back up and going back into the huddle for the next play. And, coach at the banquet was like, he was probably he goes, and I mean this in the best way possible, the dumbest and toughest person on our football team. He goes, I've seen him get his head taken off in practice to where his helmet literally flew 5 yards the opposite direction. He got up, grabbed his helmet, put it back on, and went back into the huddle, finished the play. He broke a finger, and it was literally laying across the other two fingers. He had the trainer pop it back in, tape it up, and he was back in after that. And he just didn't know how to stop working. Like there was times where they had to literally like pat me on the shoulder, go sit down now, Bono. You need a minute. So.
Be willing to work, but that's the work that I would rather, we'd rather have to pull kids back, pull people back from working too hard than having to push them to work harder. I think, that's
absolutely
in athletics, especially, we've got kids here and everywhere. People who come to these colleges and even high schools and youth teams, whatever, who bring a lot of baggage with them, if it's, I tell coaches all the time, hey, if a kid comes from a broken home, the kid didn't break the home.
Right. Something happened.
Something's happening. And so we got to deal with it as coaches. We got to deal with it as the adults in the room and help them find their way to get to where they want to get to. That's what coaching is about in general, right? It's about getting that person to be at their best when it counts.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it takes to do that. And yeah, that's, fine. Your dad pushing you, even the days you want to do it. And the days you don't want to do it, those are the ones, right?
Yeah.
And I worked with a guy a couple of years ago here at Bowdoin who used to talk about, their easy days and their hard days. First day of practice, easy day. Everybody's all geeked up, pumped up. First game, easy. It's practice 20 or 30 where you're the monotony of it. That's the hard day. Can you bring the same energy, the same juice, the same focus to those days? When no one's watching. To be where so you can get knowing that, hey, the outcome is going to get you what you want. Or give you a chance to get what you want.
Absolutely.
That's the key. So.
Yeah. It's just I remember that. I just remember them pulling you back.
Yeah.
Bonnet, literally, there's grass hanging out of your helmet because you've been planted so many times. Take a minute.
Yep.
Take a breath. Grab some water. Come back. And they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me come back in. Sometimes it's like, all right, coach, I'm good. I got a jug of water. I'm good. He's no. We're going to let somebody else get some work. All right. That's just it. I need to work, coach. That's me. It earned me a spot on our kick coverage team. You know what I mean? Like, and that was huge for me as a senior.
And deep down inside, your teammates know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part, right? They're seeing you. They see the work, and we see it now too. Like there's a whole world now where, we've had people come and speak at the college about different things, and the idea the try hard. Well, give me a team of tryhards
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah,
we'll pull them back. Give me kids who are committed to being the best version of themselves they can be, because ultimately they may not get there, but they're going to work at it, and they're not going to be afraid. And if they fail, they fail. So be it. I'd rather fail, aiming for being the best, and
right.
Whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're running near end of the time here, so I'm going to get this last question in, and then this last segment. But if someone is interested in Bowdoin University, there, what's to learn more? How to find them and everything like that. So, tell everyone, if there's an email or anything that we can put down in the description, tell everyone where they can find you at.
Yeah, definitely. Bowdoin, you can go on a website. It's a pretty in-depth one, BOWDOIN.edu. And then athletics at Bowdoin, you can kind of look at all that part of it. But just as a school, about 1,800 students. Just again, a really amazing place. We're just finishing early decision 1 right now. We take about 500 kids a year, and we're trying to get kids from all over the country, all over the world to come here. This tiny little place in Maine, man. It's a ton of majors. I think a lot of our athletes are either going into like the finance world, pre-law, pre-med. A couple of people going to education. And they're kind of doing pretty amazing things when they walk out of here, which has been great. I mean, I would say that, in this day and age where the economy is where it is, the majority of our students are walking out of here with the job they want, which I think is kind of a unique situation. Yeah. Our alumni are really engaged. We actually just had our men's basketball team was actually out here in the woods last week. They played out at Carnegie Mellon.
Okay.
In Carnegie Mellon in a tournament. And we actually had an alumni event while we were out there. And so we've got a bunch of people out there as well. And I will say that I've never been in a place where all the alumni are as passionate about a place as they are. And they're going to, if you're in the play on Broadway, they're coming to support you and act like jackasses in the stands because they're cheering you on, which I think is a pretty awesome thing. And I think there are places where the alumni are really tied to the place. I think Bethany's one of those places. I know Notre Dame's one of those places. This place has been, just for me in my time here, just this amazing experience to see these people who come from all over the world and to this day are still the closest of friends. I'm on a text chain with 40 alumni who get together and have dinner every other month, just hanging out at a Mexican restaurant and having dinner. Yeah. Just talking about, their time here and how it's helped them. And then, if a kid wants to go do this, that, or the other thing, they'll get you help. They'll get you help. They'll talk to you about it. And then they'll at the drop of a hat. And then our professors have been amazing. I mean, they come to games. We've got, like I said, 31 sports. So a third of our student body are athletes at one of the top 10 ranked schools in the country. And we've got professors in the stands watching games, grading papers while watching games and cheering on, being crazy. It's been awesome.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome to see.
Pretty amazing, pretty unique place. I never thought I'd be, like I said, be at a place this long, especially in Maine of all places. But it's been awesome to be a part of it.
That's awesome. So yeah, everybody, I will put the link there in the description of this episode here to listen to. But Kevin, I do have to get this segment in. It is the last and final segment here, and I don't let anybody know about this because it is the Fast Fitty 5. Okay. 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. He sent these to me today. Okay. So, because I know we had a rescheduling conflict last time we were supposed to record here. So he sent me a whole new set of questions because he wants it to be a surprise for both of us. Gotcha. These are kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. All right. So question number 1, all you can eat crab legs, yay or nay?
Yay.
I mean, come on. That's a toss up for the first question. Come on now. Let's here we go. This is 100% a fitting question. If 20 horses fought 5 giraffes, who wins?
Giraffes.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
It's range. It's
you got that range. Yep, that's where I was thinking. All right, question number 3. The best flavor of popsicle is?
Ooh, grape.
Grape, yeah. Grape or orange for me. It's grape or orange for me. All right. Canoeing, overrated or underrated?
Canoeing?
Canoeing.
Underrated. Great exercise. I actually taught it for 2 years at Upper Iowa University.
Oh, I knew he was going to add this question in here, and you're going to know why as soon as I read it. Are NHL players more athletic than Olympic swimmers? Yeah.
Some of them are, not all of them.
Some of them are. Yeah, as somebody that was an Olympic hopeful in swimming, I knew he's been waiting 4 years.
Wow.
We've been doing
it.
this show to get that dig
awesome.
in. But you know what? I'm a huge NHL fan too as well. So, those guys are freak athletes. I'll give you that. But yeah. That was the Fast 85. He gave you a couple toss-ups in there, but we got back to a little bit more of the finer questions of Johnny's mind and how it works.
That is phenomenal.
Kevin, I give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. If there's anything you want to get out there, anything else you want to promote, whether it's for the college, anything like that, or even if it's just a good message, I'm going to give you about a minute, man, and the floor is yours.
My message, honestly, is we live in a world where people where now being like just generally nice people seems to be like a negative thing. It costs nothing to be a nice person. Say please and thank you and all that stuff. Just be treat folks with dignity and respect. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It makes everything else go a lot faster, a lot easier.
I love it when people end it on a good message like that. I really do. I mean, I'm all for helping people promote anything that they got going on for themselves, but when it's a good message like that, I absolutely love it. But that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest again, Kevin Loney, for joining the show here. A lot of fun to get to talk to you, talking sports, all things coaching, and your journey and everything like that. It was an amazing one. Awesome. Great to listen to. As always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.